back, BGG. We are here. We are
Yes.
we have the opportunity to sit down with this gentleman, my brother-in-law Kevin Moore, VP with InVida. So Kev, go ahead and let us know what give us a little history.
Well, it's InVida. InVida.
Sorry.
InVida. Okay.
Don't worry about it. Everybody, they like, what's this InVida? We get it all the time. Before I get into, my history, if anything, but, I'll get a little bit into that. InVida in the Latin sense stands for in life, in
Okay.
life. And so when we actually launched this company, they have thousands of domain names. And so this was the first one that came up. And I'm a strong believer. And again, you don't have to believe what I believe, but I'm a strong believer that God does things for a reason. First name pops up that stands for in life. And that was exactly how we wanted to tailor the company. We understand people are at different stages in their lives. And so we wanted to build a financial firm that hosts a conglomerate of benefits to not allow us to say we can't do nothing for you.
Okay.
So my background, served in the United States Marine Corps.
Oh, devil dog, devil dog.
Devil
I'll
dog.
have it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I had a trade. I was a electrician, command and control electrician. They called us wire dogs. And so we would set up comm, basically transitioned out of the military right into my trade. It developed as electrician into HVAC. Never had a problem not having work. Southern California, what is 100 plus right now as we speak. So more than enough work. But at one point, got to a stage where some of the things that give us the most far as like an income or our jobs was also taking the most away. Didn't have my time. Had 60-hour weeks. And as a man, as a father, as a provider, I just felt that my job was to provide. As long as I was putting money in that bank account, we're good. That's how my father took care of us and my grandfather to my dad, so that's all I grew up with. But then at that point, I noticed time was passing me by. My son seemed like he went from 3 to almost a young man overnight. My daughter almost is taller than my wife, taller than Kim. My son, my youngest one, Bryce, he's turning 10 all of a sudden. It just was rolling. It was just moving too fast, and I'm missing games. I'm missing memories, missing moments. But guess what? We have money. And so the three things that mattered to me, Robert and Kim, it was, first my faith, my family, and then my finances. Those are the three things that, when I submit myself to mentorship or, any type of instruction, I look at, that's really what I analyze out of the people that I listen to. And so it bothered me that, yes, when it came to our ministry, I could write a check at any time, but I couldn't physically be available.
Right.
So that bothered my faith. It bothered me. My family, again, bank account was full, but dad's never there. Missing birthdays, anniversaries, and list goes on, right? Holidays. And then my finances, as far as bills being paid, were in place, was able to tackle a lot of debt, but I felt like I had a cap. I'm getting paid what the job is worth, not what I was worth. And every year ultimately had to petition my value, to the company. And it got old. It got old quick. And when you got to call in to do something bigger. And so you got to step out on that. Well, our founder, Mr. Philip Hudgens, if he's listening right now, he'll hate the fact that I just called him Mr. Philip Hudgens. That's Phil. That's Philip. Uncle Phil to the kids. He's my brother, personal mentor. We've been, connected for over a decade. And I always say it's not important who you know, but who knows you.
Yeah.
And if you want to know who Philip Hudgens is in our industry, over 4 decades of industry experience, he's considered more so the Michael Dell of Dell Computers.
Right.
He's considered the Michael Dell in our industry. So when the industry is calling him saying, come back out of retirement, we need you. Well, imagine Michael Jordan calling you, Robert, saying, hey, I'm starting a team in Los Angeles. And it ain't the Clippers, it ain't the Lakers. We start rubbing on these knees and these shoulders saying, how you need me, Mike? I'll be the towel boy,
I'm pretty desperate if you need me.
Right. I'm with you. So that's how I felt. I'm a tradesman with years of experience, but now, Michael Jordan's calling me, Mr. Philip Hudgens calling saying, hey, I'm coming back. I need California. I need to expand. Let's go to work. And so for one, I don't say no. I just make sure that he understands he's got to train,
Right.
He's got to train. And so I guess you could say being the poster boy of saying being coachable, being able to replace my income, walk away from that 9 to 5, focus on InVida, promote through the system. And then, when you step out, trust God, income just took off overnight. And then more importantly, it's not even about the income per se, but to simply be able to serve, serve our community, give information that been there, that or is present. We just don't know and understand how to obtain it,
Yeah.
So
well, let me jump in real quick. I want to ask this so we're clear. So this opportunity, is this did you come in as a teammate, or you came in, you build your own team, or tell us about that?
Great question. I'm gonna be transparent. My relationship, I know if I brought it up or if it was a need per se, far as having more involvement on the company side, it wouldn't be a problem to discuss that, but I also know that if someone gives you something, they can also take it away,
True.
And I didn't never ever want someone to have something on me, a thumb on me. It basically neglect the whole point of me leaving the job. So I came in as an agent,
Okay.
So let's take that first step. And I wanted to build something that if I hired Kim, if I hired anyone, I could show them, not just tell them. I could show them how to make the 6-figure income. I could show them, how to be a top earner. I could show you what worked, what didn't work. Why? Because I invested my own dollar to do it. And so, great question. I basically went through the steps, earned everything that I have.
Okay.
Mainly not to say, look at Kevin. That wasn't the point. I'm just a firm believer. If I'm going to talk the talk, I have to also walk the walk. I can't tell you to do something that I ain't never done.
Right.
And then a lot of times, Robert, we hear other people's success stories.
Yeah.
And we hear it from people that never done it.
Yeah.
And that messes with me. I'm like, okay, you're on stage, you got a platform, you got an audience, but have you done the work? Have you been through what I've been through the trenches? And that's probably one of the most stubborn parts about me. When we dive into any type of new atmosphere as far as product, carrier, training material, if I never use it, I don't train on it. And every executive knows that. Kevin, we want to get your position on this. Well, I never used it, so you ain't get nothing. I can't give you something I don't have. So that's one of my beliefs.
That's good.
That's good.
That's a good
integrity.
Yeah. I had to say that's really good to know, because a lot of people get in business and it's like, well, did you do it? No. Well, how you gonna tell me how to do it and you didn't do it? So
Right.
that's critical.
And to be honest, I wasn't against this industry. When we're talking about this industry, we're talking about financial services, we're talking about benefits, from affordable health care. And I like to say from the cradle to the grave, when we say InVida, in life, from the cradle to grave, products, everything from college funding for our children, healthcare, affordable healthcare, Medicare supplements for our seniors, being able to save so our children could buy their first home, having a guaranteed lifetime income, dealing with their taxes, their retirement, mediating taxes. It's so much more. It's just so much more. But the biggest thing that I also, when I say to the grave, literally, we could sit with a client and plan, their cremation or burial. So when it comes to someone's portfolio in life, we want to take them from where they are, ultimate, all the way to their maker. Prepare them for life. Whether it's sicknesses, illnesses, anything along that journey. We have something we could put in place that shores up their income, shores up their household. If we got to advance their retirement sooner, no problem. We got things in place to do so. But I fell in love with that process. And so you'll hear when you look into InVida, we always will echo, we're process driven, never product driven.
There you go.
Okay.
I love
yes.
Cool. So with InVida, are you guys provide life, universal life, and other things of that nature? Do you?
Yes, sir. So all life insurance policies we dwell them in and believe, but again, we tailor the products to the client.
Right.
So if the client needs certain, have certain needs, we actually will facilitate those products to that need, and we got 30 plus of the top rated companies where we have leverage into our portfolio so we can bring that to our clients. So life insurance. And then, so let's be honest, a lot of stuff too that we will tailor for the client's portfolio, we don't even get paid for. The importance of understanding, something as small as, but I call it as big as an umbrella policy, wills and trust, those things, we when we see those voids in place, we have aligned ourselves with people that actually, and companies that have those services, and we'll make sure, hey, you call this person to get this done, because it's needed. It's understanding, the journey of life. And those are, I call myself a life coach, or not a financial advisor, nothing like that, but it's more so looking at what could interrupt your plans and preparing for them, and so some of the services we even talk about, we don't even get paid for. We say, hey, no, don't worry about that. Call that person. That's, that's what they do. We stay in our lane, we stay in our lane.
And that's a lot, because a lot of times when it's about, when you say you're not product driven, and that says a lot, because we want to help people. You're in the helping business. So I think that when it portrays to the financial services, that has gotten really a bad taste in people's mouths because of past history. So to hear that you are it's the passion, and so I want to say, how long have you been in the business? How long have you been doing
we are marking 7 years.
7 years.
7 years as InVida. If you look at being in the industry combined, we got well over 100 years of industry experience. Okay. Where you look at our executive board, this is the first time we were able to come together and work together versus work for separate companies where they owned. And so now, us being privately owned, we answer to one clientele, which is our agents. Okay, and our agents' clients. So that's it. We're not public. We'll never go public. Why? Because there's something that we need to change and alter we never wanted it to be, it being based off of, a shareholders,
Right.
money. We wanted to always keep you mentioned, integrity. That's one of our 5 imperatives when we started the company. And we wanted to stay true to the client, and not the almighty dollar. We got to make decisions based on someone's share. No, we didn't want that.
So do you have your own actuary?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yes. Yeah,
so you get a chance to review really all the players that you're bringing in. You can actually really do a deep dive.
Oh, yes. And I call Mr. Philip Hudgens, I call him the mad scientist, because while we're focused on today's issues and, we're looking at our economy and, people's 401ks turn into 201ks overnight, and, we're funding a war right now, and gas price inflation is insane right now. Normally increases 3%. We're up, 6 to 8%. He has literally looked at where we need to be in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now.
Wow.
Right.
So he doesn't wait for that time to come to say, okay, now this is what we needed to do. I mean, we were prepared for a pandemic before a pandemic. Before Zooms, we already had virtual in place. So when the economy shut down, we all had to get out of the office. Guess what? We went up 400% as a company.
Wow.
It was, being, again, proactive, not reactive. And so that has helped us along our way. And that between Philip and, our executive teams, our great minds coming together, man, I'm good, but I'm not that good. They have allowed me to share that space and constantly bringing that content to us, where all we need to do is, even in social media, it's sometimes just hit share, and you throw out the information.
So where are you guys based out of? Are you based out of California? Where are you headquartered at? I know you're in California, right?
Correct. Our corporate office is in Danville, Virginia. That's our corporate office. My office is right in the city of Riverside. 1945 Chicago, Chicago Ave.
And you right down the street.
I'm right down the street. Yeah, I made that on purpose. Even though born from the LA area, Crenshaw district, dad moved out inland, and then when we grew up out this way, friends, family, if you look at as far as businesses, all it is, an employee or owner, it's a family.
Yeah.
It's a family. And so as long as we're in that serving atmosphere, we're able to pivot to a business owner, small or large corporation, all the way down to an individual,
Okay.
And so I saw a hub that I needed to say, okay, my brick and mortar is here. And, from that, my clients, can pretty much, they know they can come knock on that door. They can come sit in, we can take care of whatever is needed. If not, we can always go virtual, we can always go virtual, but we have associates pretty much in every state. In the US, we're able to conduct business as such. Even if you look us up InVidaFN.com, InVidaFN.com, you could type in your zip code and you'll be able to see, and find an agent near me. And a number of them will pop up, and you can handpick which one you want. You can look at them. We got mug shots of each one. Oh yeah.
Not a surprise. Who you gonna talk to?
Yeah, but yeah, my presence is always in my backyard as well. I have agents in multiple states that are part of my agency as well.
Okay, question. I got a final question for me, and I'm sure Kim is gonna have one more.
All right.
I know you. Anyway, so if for those who are out here listening in and want to get out of their 9 to 5 and be a little bit more adventurous, they want to join a winning team and have the ability to make those extra racks. as folks say nowadays, right? They want to be breaded. I want to be breaded. I need those extra racks of trying to get the bag.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Let's put it all out there. So how do they come to you and get involved with InVida? You guys always open to bringing on new staff? And they all going to be independent? Give us a little feedback there.
Yes. The way I was mentored and how it worked for Kevin, again, I'm being transparent. It first starts with the 6 inches between your ears. We got to fix that. A lot of us want to be our own boss, but we want to operate in that space with a 9-to-5 mindset. And so that's where it starts. That's the battle where it starts. You can't be your own boss and still operate as an employee. We got a little joke where we say we only work half a day, and so people say, okay, well, that sounds good. I said, well, how many hours is in half of a day? 12. So it's if it's to be, it's up to me. I got to do it. So yes, once we get that fixed, then we got to get it to the 18 inches to your heart. My income is my income, but it's based on my heart to serve, and so with that being said, we always want to find out, and we're always open to hire. And then that's where the change comes in. The difference from a lot of financial firms, I say we're a little bit more traditional because we interview and hire. We get to hand select who we want, but we strongly believe that, guess what? A lot of people end up, we want some of our best talent in our company. They were like Kevin, electricians, military, they had different backgrounds. And Kevin just made his mind up. That's all it was, and I could have said no, or I could have said not right now. But I got to the point where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. So if you're that individual, all you simply have to do is reach out to me and check me out. I'm gonna actually get on you guys' page here, and they'll be able to find me. And it will. I want you to be. I'll actually put my landing page so you can message me directly. Okay. And so it's a little area where you could just tell your comments. If it's a product you're looking for, type it in there. If you want to focus on retirement, whatever you need, type it in there. But if it's the employment sector, just type that in. I'm looking for a change, and I'll call you personally. I feel that we have too many forms of communication, like we're on now, and phones and emails and text messages. So, I'll reach out. You just tell me the best time and platform. I'll personally reach out. And I got a dynamic team here, not only through the corporate staff, but that work directly with me. And they help me schedule appointments, make sure my calendar is not overran. But I'll make sure I put that link up, Robert. Great question. And anyone can be able to assess me. We could talk. We could talk more.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. Actually, I don't have a question.
You're making it too easy, Kim. Make it too easy.
I know
that's easy. Okay.
I know, because it's an awe, because to sit down and actually get the information, because I know you, and I know how your passion is. I know what the passion is, and it's phenomenal to see you in action. When you talk about the financial services in a different aspect, because I've been part of the financial services, and their passion was similar, but InVida is a lot different than what I was a part of before. So it's, to hear the lingo and all of that, it's refreshing,
Yeah.
So what I would say is encourage those that are looking. Do not think, I will say it like this, because most people would say, well, I can't afford life insurance. You can't afford not to. I'll say it like that, because you never know what today will be. So my passion that's my passion, to let people know, hey, just reach out, get knowledge, get the information, so that you can make sure you're set up, make sure that your family's set up, so that when it happens, when life changes for you, you'll be ready. That's what I will say, because it's critical. We don't know what the next second will be. So
Right.
I encourage people to look in, tap into Kevin. Like he said, he has other people that are connected, but look into it. Make sure that we get the information. So that's what I will say.
Good stuff.
Devil dog, devil dog. And what you see in that devil dog, he said, I'm getting over that fence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he
Yeah.
said, I'm getting over that wall. It's
That's
gonna
it.
happen today. So
That's it, Robert.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah. No, that's important.
And to
Well, look,
make sure, I'm sorry, Rob, but real
no,
quick,
go ahead.
everybody that's connected, make sure that you check out the office as well, the BGG page. Tap in, join in, make sure you like the page so that you can get the notifications and all of that, so you guys can stay connected to us. We have a lot of people, a lot of business owners that have a lot of opportunities that will come. So check the office out as well. So I personally want to say thank you, Kevin, for joining us on today, coming in and tapping in.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thanks for having me. Enjoying myself.
On that same note, we want people to understand we're all about community and recycling dollars in our community. Yeah. And so as people come in here and they're providing you information and things like that, you know, when you're going to shop, when you're going to buy, or even when you want to get information, come to the people you see on this screen first. Holler at them. They're making themselves available. Their information you'll be able to find inside the BGG. They can post every Monday. We have a deal of the day Tuesday. So if anybody, you know, that business owner, you got some specials or whatever, something really specific you want to put out, deal of the day Tuesday. It might be an upcoming event or something you want to put in. We'll put it out there, and we're going to make sure that we constantly, you know, get you back in here from time to time to just give us an update, Kev. I mean, appreciate you. From one vet to another, you know, of course, I went the right way, the Army way, but we won't, you know, but we're cousins, though. We're cousins.
Yeah. Oh, so. Yeah. A lot of my brothers that I actually work with, man, they Army. You know, we have a good time.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you right now, it's something about, you know, veterans, the military. You know, we cut from a different cloth. The work ethic, yeah. The sense of, you know, getting to the goal, getting to the end, is built in us. We, you know, I haven't had one in our company. You know, I don't know about other companies, but in our company that has not hit, you know, level of success with a number of commas. You know, so
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then when you sit down and talk with them, it's mission driven. You know, like there's something bigger than them. You know, you said it, our community, something they, you know, I look in that rearview mirror, something they've been through, they never want to go through again. You know, they tap into that and it's over, you know.
Yeah.
So Robert, Kim, I appreciate you both. And there's so much more. And I know time doesn't allow us to, but I'm gonna make sure that I'm involved. And you guys keep me involved. Let me know upcoming events. I want to have a presence along with you guys' success. And I have already shared your content with a number of people that I network with. Wow. And so yeah, we're gonna tie this knot together, and we'll grow together.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
We sure appreciate it. All right. Well, BGG, it is Tuesday afternoon for some of y'all. It's Tuesday, almost midday for some of us. But on Thursday, it's gonna be beer 30 at the Bulldog Bar. So come out, and for all you entrepreneurs out there, come on out to meet us at Bulldog and shout out your business. And this is going to be in Fontana, California. There is a Black-owned bar that definitely would like to introduce themselves into the community, and we want to make sure we're there for them. And then we're going to have a good time. So come on out on Thursday, Kevin. We really appreciate you. Going to see you soon. And yes, as we have events, come on out, man. Bring your cards and bring that beer, man, and some handshakes.
Let's do it.
We're gonna have a good time with you, okay?
Most definitely. Most definitely. Bless
All right.
you.
All right, Kimmy, kick us out.
BGG out.
All right. We'll see y'all.